Yeah. 자기 성년 가르치가로 남대 주마 자기 자모에 그 통통 작은 걸 소야라 집어오랑 아우 걸치 샘 저도 야 다샘 퇴근도 저거 맞다 다리겠더리 어야 똑저거 똥짐바 다 가다 옥살비 예힌디 남바 잠스데 리똥와이나 맙짓나 하늘이 다 장히 된 건데 상지 좀 단디 각자다 버끔 양안디 에 다카데 콘 로말 남 게라지디데 코남 게라지디데 코야 다체가 카마라마 섭텐 추체 다듬디 야라지디데 콩고 카마 에나마나 tran당 희비는 때는 손으로 콩고 카마 tran당 희비는 때는 손으로 어 때나지가서 접샤종게 자가 전두기 이렇게 남바라 지르다도니 팀에서 정요 코는 말이단 다르톡저 그르토 짐바 가탁 옥살위 예힌디 남바르즈 맙진나 더하나리 또 답제 리똥어 밥디 따따먹어 가서 맙지도 손두기즈가 요코는 말이 또 메노 차기 하고고네 고르고네리 곰제지즈 가서 접샤종 똑저 그르토데 어다 곰지 메노도 하고고 똥이 몬스마 똑고고 똥이 똑나 똥이 따나 합고 리똥어 그렇게 담고 공석급 닥타나 합 추급 닥타나 합 닥메 나미요 타나 합 제롱디테 다 타가노 어때 근접 뇨르나 그 슈파당 저고고 zon전 가니메 그 예히데죠 zon전 가니 슈파당 저송디 따슈자라레 론디에레 zon전 더게나마나 우차가 홍콩데 저득금 홍콩나 더금 홍콩데 어야 zon전 되니가 요 마냥거 어야 때나 우차간데 예나마나
코선다 다 자나 칼 그래 단다
어야 딴다가 직제라 토야 어야
You're requesting me to give pointing out instructions on the nature of the mind. Of course, the nature of the mind, the true nature of the mind is free from or liberated from concepts. It is empty, pure awareness, fresh, naked, as it is, the state of original purity. But for a beginner, one key point is to always have mindfulness. At the time that Lord Buddha Shakyamuni was passing into parinirvana, then his retinue requested him to leave some representation behind so that they wouldn't be just left without anything. And he said, if you really want to have something that represents me, then you should never be separate from mindfulness and mindfulness and conscientiousness. And so when I speak of mindfulness in this case, in terms of the nature of the mind, it doesn't mean that you are mindful of some objective phenomena, but that in speaking of Rigpa, pure awareness, this is also Yeshe, primordial wisdom, which is luminosity. For a beginner, one must be mindful, constantly mindful of the primordial wisdom, radiant nature of the mind. It's not like trying to memorize something that you hold in your mind, because in Dzogchen meditation there is no meditation. It is free from any effort or concept. And in saying that there's no meditation, it means that one abides in the nature of emptiness. One must directly realize the nature of emptiness. And this is done by ascertaining that there is no truly existing self, understanding the non-existent self, and understanding non-existent phenomena. So these 2 points have to be ascertained and realized. And then one's mind is free from always fixating on relative truth. Then one's mind can be free from dualistic fixation. Then one can rest in primordial wisdom instead of duality. And so in mentioning that the nature of the mind is free from elaborations or is devoid of intellectual conceptualization, it really means to be without dualistic fixation.
and the Yahwas the Hako go, don't go, and Imichaka, the Makaga, Yarton, Tonya, and Rego, Gom, Yon Mardi, Kerton, and the Chona Mari, or Tata, Namka in Toro, Legium, the Yorkshire, Egypt goes on, or Yaran Bochi, Timos on Gomu, to me in Nagaza, lead Jim in the town worker, Kiri in the Ejo. Or Taka Chenere, Tonya Tona, than the Jim Dita Yahwas the Chip Chardon, Chuny Zasa Tonjo Theote, Chip Chardon, the Gonere, Chuny Zasona, Chakiteri Chuchangarno, Chunyaka, Zoson Digini, Dog Chaga Chega at the Dire Sonde that I Tongan the Chaka Kelly Kavli, to me, Nakali the Mabji that the Chida, Tahiri Torka, Kirichi Terima. Run it on your Loxi Gonde, run it on your Loxi, Tony the Lone in the rest, some Yerton got a call, the Leno is gone, Mari, Leno is gone. Run it on your Loxina, Tony Tor, Tons or Tana Mari, or Tagertons and Golo Yonomari, Ninsan Yonomari, Zonsan Yonomari. The Medi troop Jarari, Blondiere, Low Harges, oh, 30, some years old, Low Hargo, the Blondi Mari, or troop Jara Mari. Or the maid go on it, and Zunjas make go on it. Tamanga, she just go to injecting go, sharp and dog jabsona, she go on the chick, or Timidere, the Muzere, or Tata, some jabs, Zunjas you're going to. The Timmy and the Mari, Yachikas and Zunja men at Tata, you know, the other Hakun you go on there. Oh, yeah, Timmy in the Tahako go on the others, the sorry.
It's necessary to ascertain, to realize the nature of emptiness, but not in such a way that you are fixating upon something that you are referring to as emptiness, because that is to create a mind that's holding to emptiness. And this is also something that is not wanted in terms of realizing the true nature of the mind. And thinking that it's only emptiness is also incorrect, because in one way that would be like just some blankness. One has to be very aware that the nature of emptiness is fully endowed as the 4 kayas and the 5 states of primordial wisdom. That emptiness is the experience of the 4 enlightened embodiments or kayas and the 4 qualities of primordial wisdom. So this, the essence of the sugatas, or the precious Buddha nature, this nature of emptiness, is natural, and so it has to be actualized naturally. And this is something that must be understood. You're actually not meditating on emptiness. So that wouldn't be that you are going to objectify emptiness. If you do, then that's also a deviation. But that the nature of emptiness must be realized. And even when it is, as Guru Rinpoche often said, my view is of the height of the space itself, but I still observe the law of cause and result as carefully as counting little grains of dust. And so, even when you realize the nature of emptiness, that doesn't mean that suddenly you are without any awareness of cause and result until the fourth vision of Togyal is realized, which is the completion of all phenomena in the Dharmata. You need to be with cause and result. But when all dharmas, when all phenomena are complete in the dharmata, the nature of truth, or the nature of phenomena, then one may say that's it. But then just saying that's it is also not it. And so it's not as though something stops and something starts. Another key point is that one must realize the empty nature of self. And so you shouldn't be trying to focus upon the empty nature of objective appearances, inasmuch as you must realize the empty nature of self, and not to fixate upon the emptiness of that, but that you realize that there is no existing self. And then there is you have freedom from any elaboration or from any mind that is trying to actually ascertain something. But then if you're thinking, that's it, now I've got it, then again you're with a mind, you're with an intellect that is trying to ascertain something, which means that you're not free from elaborations. So as soon as you're thinking this is it, you've already lost it. You've already gone back to elaboration or the intellect. And so it's very important to know that when this nature is realized, it is free from elaboration or intellect. And so also in the worldly life, we always have this habit of thinking, oh, this is such and this is how I understand such and such. And so we try to take that habit to something like realizing the nature of the mind. Oh, this is how it is, but that's not how it's going to be at all.
Tandi mi chaka di tonyu gomjo cher tanga de cherong tatimina tavi shopi shokar tawa korsondi telo na mari mayanta geva mari din marda tagi ti thar thukum rivite revapcha manduga cherong chapcha dongge nomba thamcha bondongone tim thar thukum rive revapcha ndugje mari takamani langkorlo kandom libjo tepshek kora andon ba tamchebon donnada oya to give mardin mare kanzo sonam sakwi chuyin no dahi gonde kanzo sonam sakwi churema team dive to khokzo ke jankamza salam dron jorchaz endina yenna mare chunde zamazab ke jabarz gono tagari oya tayna mare tayna shopi shogar tawa khor kanjugnya na mare oh, tam sta khorna chadri dinina ya tamche borton yasi gram yorari mergi apche zer fonge de meg geva lengi gerdu ni di ngor ton yasi gram jenre tachim jadronge nyumo atma yeki nga ani jer tanda chaga de from shafom omo meke tamche boten samata chaga di tonur da mar tonur toyr mai ronge da Chaka Nachika and on the Manchodoma, Hosagon man Chaka Tony Chick, Romero Ryan do that. Oh, Teko Guno Kujure, oh, Tagatamer rather than the Shira of Yumba, and the you the Tita Chan Shadron get the Stokondigani, Tasha, Shopa, the Zip Gono, Diana Manaka, Chen Yenere. that's Stava again. The other 6 chair on the Stavi shop, then you got Hormania no wonder, Eratic to Choir, Ratic to Narson chair on the Teddy Hago go Joremag. Tongue any Cormacoro, no Comagun, I don't go to the Yoko, my at the Killing to the Hormania, that was how go. No, Timmy and Jim, Tasha shop, Tava de Jo. And the Hormanian is going to do it. Ton City. That was all Manchuk Marley, does it talk? If you know the Goramboch and don't know, but you can come down than the Chichaga, Loma Jungle, Sonam Chega, Sonam Moma Jungle from the Matamarcamore, Chakanare, Lama Dimirete. Desert Lama Dumuran Boch and him is the Gatangomi, Chatkaga, the Chicho, Sonam Yoka, Sonam Yono, some time meeting to get there. Oh, yeah, they are not Goma Jungle. Oh, are just of Sonam Tayona, the remain at the Yonas or Haga to the Menda, Yoni Hanere, that should be Sonama, Chicho, Yotonere. Oh, the mean the Goma Jungle, Turkanaba, Shagan, the Tatapshan Keron, you and the Goma Jungle, Chichu, Sonam, the Travonko, was him talking, and chose an Akorga contra water. Tajamasanga, Tundegona, Kasha, Nechaka capture Jesuit and looked at under the Tommy the contra the Tata, Nataption Cheron, Cheshon on me, Siga, Chuga, some digging don't yoga, so what is it? Oh, so home, Malum Chad, the Kurzaga, mean the Tadayono, Conga, or it comes on it. Conga comes on to Yamasan, don't do the Tagata Shagan to some that they give you the chair on the tongue of my jungle chip shot with some Yima Chapa, Dr. Yenere. Nadana Tetam in the Chachaki, Hakona, Uzana, the article chip shot drunk and the Timmy Chaka Tamojin by Yan, or Timmy in the Tachu chip shot drunk and the Tacha Chaka Taro Conchas, the Chaka Sakon, so on, Kurtamaka. Down there, someone of someone, no, Tucker gets on Tom shed the channel, many just shakon. Oh, yeah, that Tucker gets a shot, don't get the move, Chen Manyan Jezere, the Yen Dronke, Kitchen House with the Milson way, there's a young, draw on like chips, and the Jachin chop their rapture, draw the Tomas Horgy, Donner Norman, same chunk, so then the Tayan, nothing of Tom Drosy Tona, amateur, a cork got a song way, not the chip shot of the manga. The Mamomi is not in Maniga on the Thus how they do and do Jizga in the Mari, Tango me someone of some way, no, Timmy in the song of Tom Drain, or on here by Juchum, some agent and the Timothy in the Taji and the Norman same junk on me so they are not tragedy of some go, cork got some way, about dress. Oh, I get Turkish eat. Oh, I told so, do dress on circle, do dim the need Tomnery. Oh, to me indeed, the Chachaga, Nomi, Shenlove, Sanka, a chorus of some Jimachapi, Molam Tower, chorus with Sir, Molam Adip Tower, Tena, Nomi, Roton, your Julian, Timmy indeed, the Chanamba Chaki, Yiga, York, Tom indeed. Tenyam Linde, and after Peter Shene Mansu, Ukchaga, Achip Shadow, Oshirsigan, Songi, Semchen, Sigma Medi, Ukchaga, Sigma on my Songi, Semchen, the day, Ogumo Shirsiglam, Jimmy, the Sigma Meno, Ukchaga, the Shagan, Songi, Semchen, Sigma Medi, on the Ukchaga, Jirsigori. Jirsigorion, Sigre, Ukchaga, 2 a.m. made, and DJ, on the look to he, Georgia Manga. Then you can't do Murgo, Kerka, the 2 took the need. Oh, Tair made the gun job to me, and yet, the go on the Mare, Ukchaga, Namka, the Querna, Tander G Namkare, the Walker Namkare, I and the Ari Namkare, the Jamasanga Namkare, the Murgo. We are not Namkar, chapter on the water. We've Jana, the mother, Jarianda. As if there's a new the Kirk and Nil Tongo, or Kirk Chip drunk as Horgy and no, and the Higichu, Lama and no, the Higichu, Chosom go or on Tongi Lama. Oh, yeah, here met a 2 gentle, here me and no Hako, which Drava may no Higichu, that I know my younger chigga. Oh, the Lama down, Drava Okonomare, Songi down, Drava Okonomare. Okchaka ton tambi sonjit go no the teze go de oya koga ronrik te khwaz ngom chod sheep tan arange der shig nyon do ya khwaz sheep jana 돈 담비 줄거 건덥성 되고 사오리 또 희각 돈 민공보 되고 사오리 어야 따뜻해 화서 하고 약건데 억자기 하거서 정 야타 건덥성 너 줄거 건덥성인지 야타가 지금 사드글리나 초코럭스글리나 초코 지금 가서 성거 막 야위음슬리는죠 어야 너 어야 너 돈거 줄거 건덥성 돈 담바 말이 팀이 인디 텐데 약와서 하고 건데 돈 담비 줄거 건도 다 의사기 공바 열매달 똑송디기니 첩샤동게 줄거 건도라 돈 담비 건도리 어더진 차 돈 담비 어더진 차리 어야 따뜻했나 서울지 되고서 떨이 어야 야 다만 서울집이나 서울집 디디기니 첩샤동게던 대응만 장게 첩샤나 디미즈가 억체기 zonde 억차가다 만다 케르카즈가 zon고 뭐 예르드가 나바리 뭐 ndton tamba chuku kando zon DMD 억차기 예르드가 어야 런긴나 don man in termam요 너 요테고 노다 억차가 접자도 똥음 고고 지금 돈 똑고 지금다 제가 현년즈가다 얘나 맨나 끼니 좀 대신 맥해는 탐미 억자가 다신로 계단 대흥압식도 현년 억자가 가서 접샤 좀 계단 대와도 맞다는 타고 유마리 억자가 마음 끝까와다 대천하는 미역 대다 미다 척지들이 대 요금 대인디 와도라 드미점들 다옥차가 또 karlamba marlamba dibda chero oya karlam marlam naglam oya nomche topsum boxe har chero tingama noa karlamba odim chepa marlamba topa naglamba o tachaga har tingama ji oxar har chero di tab jar jonari oya tavar ukchagi ji oxar ta yakhwazungom chotana chuko yakhwazungom chododi ozog shidia dana gona mare 억차가 데모 억사를 마흔이 저기 보건 말 내가 저 추지 그냥 마 되고 이런 거를 과배 비장네 다고 그다음에 콤ጆ다 일명시간 디 손디 억사를 마흔이 손디가니 다 와도 접지어는 말이 고는 말이 좀 멀건데 어야 만들디면 철거다 디다 와도 언저저라 세카지다 와도 맞어 타보주 말 억차 티무인들에는 다 와도 접고는 말이 तमिंदी यखवाज मुजंग छुगा तो यमलिंद यखवाज मुजंग छुगा तो ते तरजब कने उक्सा का कांगल यो न मारन द ngो को ताना द थम थप के ना सो गिरजोन न दे मे या द को तानी मे कुम दा न न्याम से ले मथप के जो मन दुक दुक जी मर को ता जगन जंगे न मे रवन दुक दुक गार की इंडो थप मा थम मे कुम गार की जगह इंडो की दा दुक दुक थम ने ना सो गिरजोन जिगो मार ओसर तो ख्वा छे मो न्याम से लेंगे 나서 기르죠노는 말 팀죠 달라도 녀들이 니직 탑고 너 가르기들 이때 뭐도 그래죠 말 어야 가르기인 쪽에 어야 디지 억살 줄거는 인조죠 말이 어때나 다지가 야네면은 줄게 기소노면 그래죠 말
It's also very important that you don't lose your view to conduct or lose conduct to the view. And so, for instance, if you're losing your view to conduct, then it means that you will spend all of your time that you have to practice just doing prayers, and it doesn't really matter which ones they are, Mani Padme Hung, whatever your sadhanas, practices, prostrations, and other kinds of supplications and pujas and all these other things, which are ways for accumulating virtue, that's for sure. But this alone does not produce the absolute result of enlightenment. And this is because all of these efforts that have to do with conduct on the path, pure conduct, the pure conduct of engaging in Dharma activities, which are virtuous, they are still considered to be relative virtues that are part of the path, which is relative, which then is the accumulation of relative virtue and merit. And of course this is important, but it doesn't produce liberation or enlightenment in and of itself, by itself. And so it's really speaking about a difference between that which is more profound than the other. Now, obviously, the view is the most profound, but then on the other hand, one shouldn't lose conduct to the view. And so what that would be to always, be thinking of only the nature of emptiness, ascertaining the view in such a way that one is almost obsessed with the thought that it's not necessary to be concerned about karma or virtue or non-virtue, and even, always reminding oneself about the positive aspects of the correct view, that is to say, the nature of the mind being endowed with the 5 states of primordial wisdom, and so on and so forth, that everything is the natural play of the wisdom display, but then to never do anything other than just, think of the view in this way, and to avoid observing conduct would actually produce someone who might be going a little crazy. And so this is something to be careful about too. And so it shouldn't be too extreme in one way or the other. But then you shouldn't, it's like it wouldn't be practical for you to think later, well, am I losing it now to the view or am I losing it to the conduct after you've already lost it, if you're thinking like that. And so it means that you have to know this ahead of time. You have to know the facts about the path. And I think it's really amazing. You're all very fortunate upholders of great merit to have the wish-fulfilling jewel, Tulku Rinpoche, who is here and who has brought you all these blessings of the Dharma. And it's something that is directly perceived, speaking of direct perception. And it's very obvious that all of you have many very potent causes for great virtue and merit. And so what could be better than this? This is the situation that people wait for, wish for, and pray for, to be able to accomplish Dharma, to have enough merit, to have a situation. And so when the Chinese came and took over our country, then we lost that opportunity for many years. Before that, we had it. And at that time, Rinpoche and I were we came to find out in our discussions that we were very close Dharma friends in the same mandala in Tibet, receiving teachings. And so we are Dharma family or Dharma friends in a very harmonious and great way. And so now here, many years later, after all that happened, it's really kind of amazing to come together again. And then I'm being asked to give all of you, his disciples, an abhisheka. Well, giving an abhisheka is some very major thing for me, because that's secret mantra. And the meaning of those terms is not to be taken lightly, secret mantra. And it means that you're not supposed to expose secret mantra openly. Otherwise, it's called exposing to the villagers, something like this. And this is one of the vows that you are meant to keep, that you don't expose secret mantra to the public openly in the village. And so in one way, this is almost borderlining on that. But in another way, all of us have the precious Buddha nature, and that's a fact. And so bearing that in mind, that makes it a little more clear. But when I think about the nature of the Dharma that I'm going to be transmitting, it's also something really, really secret and precious. And if it goes to someone who is not a suitable recipient, if something inappropriate occurs, then I'm the one who has to go to the hell realms. But I think in this case it's okay, because I received the Wang from Tuku Dordra, the son of Dujam Lingpa, his heir. And just to tell you that the blessings of this guru are something that words can't even express. And it is, the Tibetan term for that is that it is the most direct transmission of blessings that you could ever receive. And since I did receive it from him, this amazing guru, then the prayers behind the force of this lineage of the Truma practice are something so profound. And I know that you all have the scriptures in your language and that you practice them. And so Really, this is the Dharma, the doctrine that brings enlightenment in one body and in one lifetime. But when we talk about Buddha, getting Buddha in one lifetime, what is the difference between a sentient being and a Buddha? There is one basis or one ground, foundational nature, and there could be two results. That is to say, we all have the same foundation. Everyone, without exception, possesses the precious Buddha nature. Now, what's done with that or not is going to indicate what the result will be in one way or another. But our mind is already indivisible, inseparable, as the Buddha nature. It's natural. You don't have to say, when you think about the Guru, well, I'm going to now join my mind with the Guru's mind so that they can be non-dual. They, my mind and his or her mind, are coming together to become non-dual, inseparable. That's wrong. That's to miss the point. It's like, that would be like saying the space in China is Chinese space, the space here in the West is Western space, the space in Tibet is Tibetan space, and that they're all separate and autonomous. It's not like this at all. And speaking about the foundation, the precious Buddha nature, that is one all-pervasive nature that permeates everything. It is the Buddha, it is the Lama, it is the three roots, it is the triple gem. It is Rang Dungi Lama, which is the Lama, the absolute Lama, which is the nature of yourself. And so you have to understand the absolute Lama is something that you're never separate from. You shouldn't be thinking that you're trying to be together with the Lama is to completely miss the point. When you're never separate from the Lama, the absolute Lama, how can you ever be separate from the Lama? If you're in touch with your precious Buddha nature, there's never any separation from the absolute truth Buddha. That's the nature of Rigpa, pure awareness. It's something that you must recognize. That is the only way, the only place where Buddhahood occurs. There is no other destination. And so when we speak of the absolute primordial Buddha, another term for that is the originally pure protector, Samantabhadra, Kundu Zangpo. Do you think that Kundu Zangpo is an image or a statue that's created and then painted so that he looks a certain way, or Kundu Zangmo, or maybe both of them in union? And there they are in the space in front. And is that how you relate to the primordial Buddha, the absolute Buddha? Or what do you think the absolute Buddha is? What do you think Kundu Zangpo and Kundu Zangmo represent? They represent the fact that your mind is inseparable as the absolute Buddha, as the absolute Lama, which is also the same meaning of Vajradhara. Buddha Vajradhara. So that is it. That is Buddha. There is no other Buddha. There's nothing else. And so Buddha is this. Now we're always thinking maybe it's an object because we have objective habit, dualistic habit. So we're thinking it has to be expressed objectively. If we think that, we will never understand. We have to understand it's the nature of our own mind. And it's the originally pure, primordial nature that we have never been separate from, which has never, ever been confused. As soon as we recognize it, we know there's never any confusion and we'll never be confused again. As soon as we're in a state where we're not confused and we're certain, that is the Buddha nature. That is to introduce yourself to your Buddha nature. And so, understand then that this is what is meant by Kundu Zangpo, Kundu Zangmo, and that you're never separate from them. Understand this. Especially understand this before the time of your death, so that at the time of your death, and that's inevitable, from birth we know that we must die, we have to die, it's approaching. So we think about then death means that there's a bardo that we're going to have to go to. But actually, bardo is like the dream state, and we've had so many dreams, we're already very accustomed to dreaming. We know exactly what that is like. That's like a whole other set of phenomena, phenomenal appearances. But the bardo, it can be avoided. It's not necessary to go on into the bardo, wandering on again at all. If you are aware that there's going to be the appearance of white luminosity, red luminosity, as the seeds fall to the heart from father, mother, respectively. And then there is the black near attainment experience. When the two come together and the ordinary consciousness falls unconscious, immediately thereafter there is the experience of the foundational clear light, the ground clear light, which arises or dawns very vividly. And if you have recognized your pure awareness in this life so that you're prepared for that moment of death, at the moment of the arising or the dawning of the ground luminosity, clear light experience, it will be just like a child who sees his mother, her mother, and joins her immediately without a second's hesitation. And that is to enter the Dharma Dhatu and to be inseparable. And there is no bardo after that. That is enlightenment. Bardo is no longer necessary. Otherwise, without that, there must be a bardo. So that's why we have to recognize now, we have to practice now. What's wrong with practicing now? It's a very simple thing. You just have to sit there. You don't have to do a lot of elaborations. You just have to sit there, and even if you're old and can't move, it's even better because you're just sitting there. And it's no one can give the excuse that they can't practice when all you have to do is sit or just be there with your precious Buddha nature. And then Rinpoche was very animated, repeating that again and again, about how this is great for old people too and all people. You just be with your precious Buddha nature.
Da yirka nambara machirvi. Yir chandrina higa. Akiga. Yir.
Not so?
Yir chand. Yirka nambara machirvi ranka rikwa. Koga. Rikwi rong manga sale Sangye Khandro Tarikwari Yirkan number Majiri Ranka Rikwa.
Do you understand there are two terms, the object and the subject? So the object is some kind of characteristic or some kind of form that we conceive of in our mind. And so without pursuing any kind of conceptual or objective concepts, so the mind is totally free from that. In order to be with your own natural pure awareness, Buddha nature, you have to be separate from objective phenomena. And you have to experience, instead of objective phenomena, the radiance of pure awareness. It's called the Rangdang, the natural radiance of the Buddha nature, which is unobstructed. And don't catch it with the mind. It's devoid of mental activity trying to identify it, but it's unobstructed natural radiance, which is very, very clear. And so nothing's being blocked at all. Now, you have to recognize it. Your natural pure awareness has to be recognized by you, and it is recognized as the natural radiance, which is unobstructed, and the mind is not fixating there or grasping onto any objective appearance. There's no mind, it's just pure awareness and its natural radiance, unobstructed, unimpeded. Now understand that. That's it. And someone else, it has nothing to do with someone else helping you to identify this so that you can understand it through their guidance. You have to identify your own pure awareness. Only you will come to know it, no one else.
You have to know yourself. You don't know others. Nothing object, just yourself. Recognize yourself.
Just recognize yourself. Don't focus on any other object. That's it.
Also to muri ta chi la le ma go ji me ni ma su cha ka da ni ra ga ta nat go sa wa ta chi ja do na re ta so sa ni su se chi ge ri ndari sam ji re kha ko ji te yo ne yo ju ri yo ne cha gi shi ju ri ta nga so chi to mu to ka ma ko na ti mi ri ko ta na nya ndari de ji ri te ti te so chen na da sa ni su se ri
And so without going on and making things more complex, more things for you to think about, it's better not to do that. I gave you the key point, the crucial point. Now you must know. And if you don't know yet, this is something that should be what you're attempting to do. This is the most important thing to recognize and be with from that moment that you recognize it onward, inseparable.
Oh yeah, это читался, как читамся гамдерва, а я на этом индите. Локо чага чапча розам до хваре чагаре, та дорогие корлоп там чего, габжик мепи зам до хваре чмасам ча там майонди. Та зам до хваре, экшака чиндо ке зам до хваре, мо som가 зам до хваре 통네 요주리. 너와 딱나 зам до хваре 래. 잔즈가 브로데 딱나이 돈 마토니 걸고 그런 요 말고 그. Zamdo khware. Tander tok dona zamdo khware thon thon ayo ki thon gore. Ukse to chakaya khwada khako go. Oh yeah.
And I make the prayer that now we all do have a connection, a samaya connection, which has happened quite suddenly and auspiciously. So I make the prayer that we'll all be together in the copper-colored mountain, pure realm. But in saying that, actually, if we recognize our pure awareness Buddha nature, then pure perception is the copper-colored pure realm, the copper-colored mountain. There's no other place. And how wonderful to just be there in your own mind, which is where it is, that state of pure perception, without having to carry any heavy bags or prepare for some long journey. That would be too difficult. Diggity. Diggity.
Kiran that hako that Sargum kin number Tila Pendux, Nanga Katina. Kaya Maris, Zagoran, Tongore, Congore, Nene, Jonga, Tite Gore, so leg in the case market. Dina Tari, Tiran the Congo, Tumchir, Tila Chit and Raunada, Sargum Tsuji, Kirmati Raunica. Going to take common million and the million red. Cannot imagine, Mamma get the they were red. Cannot some like they want to most symbol that they want to take cannot, but cannot. That is the poet. Not have to go at Masuna Gyatrul to what after it, teaching what's it, teaching into Kumari Sangata. Don't I marry cannot plant a tail at the tiny remember you could take shit again. Sometimes, but you cannot tap at the top Jim Humbo she turned out of it. Some of them.
I know that all of you are busy, and I don't much blame you for that. You do have to eat and drink and pay taxes and have all those other responsibilities that are necessary in this environment at this time. But still, you came here, and even through all your efforts in your life to try to earn money, to save, to be secure, if you were able to earn hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, these few words that you just heard are far more important than any of that. And so you should all recognize this, and you shouldn't forget what Rinpoche just said, the key point. And you should definitely bring that into your heart and actualize it. That is the reason that you're here, most probably. Maybe many of you think, there's another big deal happening, that's the most important thing. Like, oh, Gyatrul will notice if I didn't come, so now he's noticing me. Or I would be embarrassed if I wasn't there, or any other type of ordinary motivation for being here. Then that's really not it. It has nothing to do with me, that your purpose, your aim, can be accomplished if you don't forget the words that you just heard. And I know many of you have heard a lot of Dzogchen teachings, but these words were very direct and very special, so please don't forget. And also tonight, in hearing such profound words, then it indicates to us that we have accomplished the meaning of our precious human rebirth. This is what a precious human rebirth is. And then to have a chance to practice, to be here and enter the door of Dharma practice. That's really the essential point. And as Rinpoche said, whether you're old or young, it doesn't matter. It's not difficult to simply apply awareness. But whether you do that or not is up to you. But then you shouldn't just think, oh, I'm a Buddha, and become very proud and arrogant and miss the point, because then that would be to lose conduct to the view. Nor should you lose the view to conduct, as he cautioned. If you do, it's like exchanging a piece of gold for an ordinary stone. But we are clever Americans. We would never do that. And as Rinpoche reminded us, we do have great merit. And this is, again, another example, because we didn't even think about having a chance to invite someone like Rinpoche to come here and teach us and give us these transmissions. But it just happened naturally through some causes and conditions, of course, but the merit was there for all of you to just be here to receive it. But also, especially because of the kindness of Tukutashi, Gyatso Rinpoche, Butterball. Butter log.